You ready? Hello to everybody. My name is Daily Politte. My parents are Willis and Sarah Politte. I was born in the area of Mineral Point, I think it was. And shortly after my birth, my parents moved from Mineral Point to an area in the cadet area that was called Bottom Diggings. And Dad was a sharecropper, a farmer with the company, and did a lot of farm work. And then when I got older, I started around 12, something like that. I started digging tiff and then hauling tiff to Fountain Farm to the mill to be weighed and a whole tiff for not only for ourselves but for some of the other people that lived in that community in that area. And I went to school in Old Mines, Catholic school, St. Joachim, and graduated from there when I was 13 years old. I can't remember the year now, but that was what?
38.
38 round. I think yeah, 38. And after I graduated from school, I just kind of hung around the farm there a little bit until I got old enough to go to work. I know my mom and dad, after Dad died, well, I had to wait. All the farm and farming equipment was sold, and of course all that stuff went to the company, back to the company. And then Mom and I moved in another company house out in Old Mines, Missouri. And when I got to be 15 and a half or 16, I can't remember, I started to work at the Brown Shoe Company in Potosi, which I think was in this building right here. And I worked there till I got drafted, and when I had to went into service in 42.
Also, John, I'm missing the one for...
Went to Jefferson Barracks and got my physical, and then they put me in the Navy, and then I had to stay overnight for the Navy to induct me the next morning, and then came back home for a week and left, went to Farragut, Idaho, the Naval Training Base. And after our training, I got to come home for a week, see Mom. Then when I went into service, I was aboard an aircraft carrier. I was a first loader on a Quad 40 on this USS Steamer Bay, CVE 87. It was a converted oil or tanker or something like that, you know. Kaiser done that. And after the war was over with, I came back to the shoe factory, worked a short while and couldn't make it, so then I went to work at Kroger's down in Potosi. I worked there for 3 or 4 years. Then I met a young lady and fell in love and got married. My wife's name was Norma Jean Kaufman, whose father was Raymond and my mother was Lucille Kaufman. And I think we've been married about a year, and I moved to St. Louis. Ran out of work down here, so I had to go look for work elsewhere, and I started to work in an A&P store in the produce department. Then I worked there, and I came back home and I got a job selling insurance. Moved to Bonterra, moved back to Potosi. Went back to St. Louis, got a job at General Motors. Worked there for 21.1 tenths of a year. I retired on disability and been living on disability ever since. And each year I get a little worse. But I'm still in pretty good health, and I thank God every day for that.
Okay. What was the name of the Diggins, the area you lived at?
Bottom Diggins.
Bottom Diggins. They had other places around there that had...
Oh yeah, they had Happy Hollow and Shibboleth, Old Mines, Dog Patch.
And what was that area like?
Oh, it was just an old country road through there until the President Roosevelt got that WPA started, and then they finally built a gravel road. Otherwise, it was just an old wagon rut road, and there was no electricity, and no gas lines or anything like that. We had to cut. Me and my brother, when we got old enough, big enough to swing an axe and run a saw, we would go out in the summertime and cut the trees down out there in the woods and let them lay there till fall, and then we'd go out and get them and haul them in on a wagon with mules. And somebody by the name of Pascal Boyer used to come around with a saw rig, a steam engine thing, and cut the wood up at the stove length, so we could burn it in the kitchen and in the heating stove. That's, we didn't have none of the niceties like we have today, push a button, turn the lights on, and turn the faucet and turn the water on. We didn't have any of that. We had coal oil lamps. And then later on we did, one of the older brothers that was working got us an old battery radio. Couldn't play it only at nighttime because when everybody'd be home. Because usually in the daytime the battery would burn out and nobody'd get to listen to it at night, so we had to shut it off when we went to bed at night and not turn it on till the next evening after the evening meal,
What did you listen to on the radio?
Oh my God, I think I just can't remember some of them. Well, we used to listen in the morning. We did listen to the station out of Nashville, Tennessee. It was the Grand Ole Opry. You get that country and western music, and Dad always got the weather reports and all that, how the weather was. If it was dry or hot, he'd listen for that. See if we was going to get some rain or anything.
Who were some of the guys on the Grand Ole Opry? Can you remember?
Oh man, Grandpa Jones. I just don't know. We used to listen to Roy Queen. He used to be on. He used to come out of St. Louis. They advertised for what's that? Jolly Irishman. Up there, they had him on for a half hour in the morning or an hour, something like that. Roy Queen. Never will forget that. That's where me and my wife first bought our first furniture at. It was a Jolly Irishman.
Did you used to come to Potosi for...
Oh, we come down and visit, yeah. Visit my brothers and sisters and my wife's parents. Yeah.
And what else did you do in Potosi? Go to movies?
Oh, went to the movies. That's all we had to do, go to the movies. In the summertime, we'd go out on one of the local streams around the area, or Mineral Fork or Fort Arnold, or maybe go out and have a little basket picnic on Sunday and swim. Played a lot of ball down there at the ballpark. Not in a league then, but we'd just get a gang together and play ball. But we done that when we was living out in Bottom Diggins too. But the younger children there, we'd get together in the evening after we got our chores done, our work done, and just have a ragtag team and play against each other or play anybody from the other surrounding villages that wanted to play us.
And what were the chores that you had to do?
Oh, we had to feed the hogs, and we had to get wood in, and go to the well and get water and bring it down to the house. Feed the chickens, whatever.
Did you have a refrigerator?
Oh, no. No electric, remember? We had an old ice box. The Iceman used to come around once a week out there, you know. And I think the biggest piece we could put in there was 75 pounds. It had a little lid at the bottom and raised up, and you slide a pan underneath that to catch the water. That was another chore we had to do, empty the water. And one day we had it out like in a summer kitchen off the side of the house, you know, and one day Mom told me to go in there and empty that water out, and I raised that up and pulled that water out, and there was a big snake behind it, a water moccasin. You know, and it was a real hot, dry summer, and that little branch that run through the farm was dry. We didn't have no rain, you know. And that sucker was looking for water. That's what he was looking for. It scared the wadding out of me, I know that. But, you know, as a whole, I enjoyed that life. I often reminisce about it, you know, think about all the good times we had. We didn't, you know, if we had anything, we made it ourselves. You know, sleds in the wintertime, we'd just find some lumber and took an axe and sharpened it, nailed the boards across, had 2 runners made out of old oak 2x4s or something like that, you know. Sand them down a little bit. And we did, well, I don't know how old I was before I got a wagon, little red wagon, you know. Man, I thought I was in hog heaven when I got that.
When did you get your first car?
Yeah, well,
Did you have a car before you entered the service?
well, my brother, yeah, I had a car, and I didn't have one, no, yet. No, not before I went in the service. I learned to drive with my brother's car. The older brother had bought a car to leave at home, so I could drive it, you know, to take Mom and Dad to the store or church or whatever. Yeah, I did. A 29 Model A Ford. Bought that sucker for $75. Boy, it was a good one. That sucker run like a striped ape.
Your brother went into service too?
Walter was in the service, yeah, I think he's 18 months older than I was. I'm the baby of the family. There was 15 of us in the family, and I was the baby. So,
You had just one other brother went into service?
no, there was 2. Lester, when it was in the Coast Guard. Yeah, I forgot about that. One time when I got out of boot camp, and I came home on my boot camp leave, and then went back, they stationed me in Bremerton, Washington. And my brother that was in the Coast Guard was right across Puget Sound from us. And I used to go over and see him, ride the ferry across the sound and go over and see him.
What was it like working at Kroger's? Now, did you work at Kroger before the service or after?
That was before.
What was it like working there?
Well, you know, there was we didn't have self-service at that time, you know. We had to wait on the customers. And most of the time I worked in produce, you know, and had to trim the lettuce and the celery and stuff and get it out every morning and take it down at night and put it in a barrel and ice it. But I did do some work in the groceries when I first started. I did work in the grocery side. I had stock shelves and wait on customers. We had big high shelves in there and had one of them grabbers, you know, on a stick. Like, had to reach up there, way up there and get the cereal down and the oatmeal and stuff like that.
For customers?
Yeah.
Every time you had to follow the customers around and help them?
Well, no, we had a counter, and we worked behind the counter, and all the merchandise was behind that counter. And they just stand there and tell us what we want, and then we'd go back to the shelving and pull it off and bring it up there. Then after we got everything we wanted, we added it up on the adding machine. Then we had a little register there to make change. But later on, they changed it over to self-service. You know, I worked in the produce, I worked in the meat, I worked as a cashier. It's about anything you wanted.
But you didn't have to deliver
No.
to anybody's house? Or
No, we never delivered. Didn't have no delivery service.
And were you working there right before you went into service? Is that the job you had when you went?
Yeah.
Had they started any of the food rationing by the time?
No, I know. I went to work there after I came home from the service. That's right. I was working at the shoe factory when I went in the service.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Kroger was after you came home?
Yeah, yeah.
What did you do at the shoe factory? What was your job?
I was, I can't remember the name they called it. But I put the counter in the back of the shoe. It was all children's shoes. I had to put the counter in, you know, and dip it in the glue and stick it down in between the outside leather and the inside cloth that was in there, and then press it out where there's no wrinkles in it, you know. And then I would put that on a last that had the inner-sole in it, and tack that on the back, and on each side of the puller, I think it was the name was. We had pullers to pull the leather up over the shoes, you know, over the back and on each side of the heel, and on each side of the toe, and then the toe itself had to pull it over and tack it down. And we put it on a rack, and when we got that rack full, we set it up to the next part of the assembly part of it.
Do you get paid by the hour or by how much work you did?
Well, yeah, it was piecework. Yeah.
So the more work you did, the more you got paid?
Yeah. I think I made about $25 a week. I was 16 years old. That's pretty good money.
Well, you said you did some tip digging, right?
Oh, yeah. That was before, you know, I got old enough to go out. You had to be 16 years old to get a job. And, yeah, me and my brother Walter dug a lot of tips. Some of it we didn't go too deep on. It was just like a surface vein, you know, maybe 3 or 4 foot deep, and it just running. But we did sink some holes pretty deep, you know, and had the windlass, the tub down to take the dirt out and the tiff. Yeah. And then we loaded it on a wagon and hauled it over to get it weighed. Fountain Farm, I think it was about maybe 3 or 4 miles. You know.
Fountain Farm, was that Mineral Point?
No, Mineral Point was a different area. Fountain Farm was where they had the mill that processed this tiff. They had crushers in there, and they'd crush it, and it was used certain grades, a higher grade of it, I think was used like in glass, toothpaste. It was a chemical grade, like, you know. But the poor grade, they used that in the drilling oil fields in Texas, wherever, you know. When they drop the casings in the ground, they pour this powdered baroid down there, and it would pack and hold that pipe straight. It packed real tight. It's heavy. Yeah. And most of my older brothers worked there at that mill, you know. Lewis and Bernard and Arthur and Lester. Yeah, and brother-in-law's Herbert Pratt. He worked there. I don't know. I guess that was all.
And how deep on a deep one, how deep would you go?
Oh, we'd go 15, 20 feet. You know. Just in.
And that's how you get in and out with the windlass?
Yeah.
And plus you'd haul the tiff and dirt out.
Yeah.
With the windlass.
Yeah. Whoever first one who went down to dig, well, he'd get in the bucket, you know, and hold on to the rope. I would let him down, or he'd let me down, whatever. It was like an elevator, you know.
Then you pull the tip up you pull a bucket up.
Yeah. And then swing it over and drop it on the ground, you know, and unload it and hook it back up and send it back down.
The guy down at the bottom, what would he do? Just fill it up with dirt?
Dirt or tiff, whatever. If
You separated it up at the top?
yeah. Yeah.
How'd you go about doing that?
Well, we just dumped the dirt around on one side and we put the tiff on, you know, off to itself.
Did the guy down in the hole separate it? Or?
Oh yeah, it was either dirt had come up or tiff.
Okay.
And you couldn't put a whole lot of tiff in them tubs either because it was pretty heavy stuff.
And did you have to clean the tip when it got to the top?
Oh yeah, we had little metal hatchets, chip all that old mud and dirt out of them cracks and everything on it. Yeah.
Rattle box?
Rattle box, had the rattle box. After it dried out, we'd put it in there in that rattle box and rock it back and forth, and then we had like a metal bottom and it had holes in it, and the rest of the dirt that was on it would fall out, you know. Because the company I worked didn't like all that dirt on it, paying you for dirt.
What would they do if you had to it?
Well, I don't know. We never did get caught. I don't know what they'd do. I guess they'd probably knock off 100 pounds or whatever, you know.
And did you have to dry some of it out if it was wet clay on it and stuff?
Oh yeah, you had, if it was real wet, yeah, you know. Like sometimes you'd dig it out and just pile it up on the bank, you know. And maybe before you got back to cleaning it the next day, it might have rained overnight, and all that clay was just like glue on there. You had to wait till it dried out to clean it real good.
You remember what you got paid for a load or a ton?
$2 a ton was the most I ever got. $2 a ton.
You had to split that with the driver? Or you drove it?
Well, if I hauled it myself,
Okay.
I didn't have to. But the other people would, the other people that we hauled for, we got 50 cents a ton hauling. So if they got $2 a ton, they gave us 50 cents and they got $1.50. You know, and maybe sometimes they might get lucky and get a couple loads a week, but most of the time, it was probably one load a week that was really good.
Now, when you entered this, did you say what date you entered the service?
I was sworn in on the 7th of December, 42, I think.
About a year after Pearl Harbor?
Yeah,
And you went into the Navy,
yeah.
and you went to
South Pacific,
the South Pacific
yeah.
with what outfit?
Remember the name of that? Well, when we first went, got sea duty, we went to Hawaii, Pearl Harbor, and we would load up with planes and pilots. And then we would take them out to the war zone where the war was really going over, and you know, like in Okinawa or Japan or whatever, you know. And they would, those pilots would go up on the flight deck and they'd fly them off and go to the bigger ships, you know, like the Yorktown and the Princeton and all that. Because we were just a small carrier. But after
Did you say what the name of the carrier was?
our carrier,
Yeah.
yeah, CVE 87, USS Steamer Bay.
Okay.
They named them after bays and rivers or something like that, all those small carriers. Yeah, and I was the first loader on a quad 40. Right out there in front of God and everybody. No protection.
Did you run into any problems?
Yeah, we hit a lot of those suicide planes, the kamikazes. We shot one down one day just off our port bow, and it had all that dynamite in it, you know, and explosive, and the thing blew up. We hit it with it was hit with a 40 millimeter incendiary bullet, and when it hit that dynamite, it blew it up. And that plane fell in the ocean, and there wasn't a piece of it big enough to make a splash. It just blew all to pieces.
You know where you're at? Was that what happened to that?
Yeah, that was. Well, we were going into. We were joining the fleet. That's what it was. It was close to the Philippines, because we were going to go down the Surigao Straits, and one of the ships got sunk in that formation. I did used to remember the name of the ship, but I can't remember it now. But we could see the sailors jumping off the flight deck into the water. It got hit with, you know, bombs, and it blew it up, and it started burning. You could see the flames for miles. And But we never had stopped. Some of those destroyers and destroyer escorts would come by and pick up the sailors out of the water, the ones that made it. But I know there was a lot of lives lost on that one. Then we was in on the invasion of Iwo Jima, Okinawa, and our planes then flew off and went over Tokyo and bombed them. Yeah.
And that was like, you were always on that same carrier?
Yeah. And now after the war, well, we were in dry dock in San Diego, getting the ship, the bottom of the ship, the hull, cleaned. You know, they had to put it in and pump the water, put it in a dry dock, pumped all that water off, and we had to go over the sides in bosun chairs with a chipper and chip all that old barnacle off, you know. But I got lucky, I didn't have to do that. I got to come home on leave. And by the time I got back, well, the war was over with. And then they converted it into a troop transport. You know, they used the hangar deck and put up bunks in there, you know. So, while we're in this dry dock, I was working in the laundry at that time aboard ship. And we couldn't use the laundry on the ship because they had to shut the water off when we went into dry dock. So they rented a truck and rented a laundry in town in San Diego. And the crew that worked days would go in there with a load of laundry from the ship, wash it and dry it and fold it and put it in a bag and bring it back. But a lot of times we'd get done real early, and we took our dress blues with us, and we'd sneak into town, you know, and have a beer. So we never did get caught, by the way. But one time we went to Guam, and we had to go into a floating dry dock. They get so much of the many barnacles and get so much debris hooked to the side that would stick to the ship, the hull, that it would slow you down. So every once in a while you had to go into dry dock and have that all scraped off. I don't know if you can imagine what that's like, you know, it's still wet and sloppy, you know, and you got to scrape that off and it's falling in your face and everything. Didn't smell too good. But everybody had to do it, you know. Everybody had to take their turn at it.
When did you get out of the service?
I got out I was discharged at 45, December the 28th. Came home to stay. Yep.
Then you went to work at Kroger.
Well, no, I went to work at the shoe factory first, but me and the boss got into it and I quit.
Oh, okay.
He wanted me to work on Saturday, and I wasn't used to working on Saturday, so he said, well, if you don't work Saturday, he said, don't come back. So I didn't go back. Then I went down to Kroger's. I was downtown one day and I saw a sign in the window, help wanted, so I went in and signed up, and they put me to work. Yep.
You were a meat cutter.
Well, after I left there, I was. I worked in Bonterra in a tomboy store as a butcher, you know. Then I sold insurance, the Doug Tiv, Hall Tiv. So I had a pretty full life.
Then you met your wife. How'd you meet your wife?
The first year I came home from the service, the first New Year's Eve dance I went to. So that would have been 45 and 46, you know, because it was a New Year's Eve party. When I got home that night, I told my mother, I said, I met the girl I'm going to marry. And we got married a couple years later. I think it was 48. Yeah, we raised 4 girls. All married. The youngest one was born on my birthday, Cassie. So we're going to have a birthday here about a month. 15th of September.
And where did you live at when you got married?
Well, we lived here in Potosi, you know. But then, you know, I had to move to St. Louis.
Getting back to that company, you lived at Bottom Diggins, you lived in a company house.
Oh, yeah.
How did that company housing and I guess they had a company store, how did that all work?
No, they didn't have no company store
Just company housing?
housing. You know, like the miners that sold their TIF to them, they wasn't paid in a check or cash. It was like a draft, you know, and they had to get it cashed at Tony Cook's store there in Happy Hollow, wasn't it? Yeah, Happy Hollow. They'd get it cashed there. He would give them the cash, and then he would get his money back from the company.
One case.
Yeah, that's the way that worked.
And they wanted you to spend that money at that store?
Well, you had to. There wasn't no other store around.
Was that a company store?
No, that was private owned. Tony Cook owned that. Yep.
And I guess eventually they tore all those houses down?
Oh yeah, they're all gone. Yeah. Some of them, people has bought them, you know, and took them apart and moved them. I know we was at a nephew of mine yesterday, Charlie Pratt, and his garage was one of the homes that he bought, you know, and took it down in sections and moved it to his house and made a garage out of it. Yeah.
They moved Mom's house to old mines, and she lived in it on mines, company house.
No, they didn't move her house.
21. Oh, sorry, here.
They tore it down after she left. No, we was living on the farm in Bottom Diggins when Dad died, and we moved into a company house out in Old Mines. But that's gone too, yeah.
There are some photos of those still around back there.
Oh yeah, yeah. We drove through there. Me and my sister Ethel drove through that area. Tuesday afternoon, wasn't it? And then yesterday, Wednesday, yeah, we drove out through there. It can't hardly recognize anything in there now. It's all growed up woods and trees and grass and weeds.
During that time, were there quite a few guys out there on a given day digging and working? Or you
Well, yeah, every one of those people that lived in that housing project there, they were all miners. Well, some of them worked at the mill itself. No, yeah, yeah.
So you had to be a little bit self-disciplined to go out there and work every day. You
Yeah,
didn't know exactly what you're going to make. And
That's right. And some days they didn't make anything. You know, and they might have hit a spot where there wasn't any tiff. You know, maybe sink a hole and not get anything out of it. But as a rule, they usually would get at least a load maybe out. You know, yeah. No, it wasn't easy work. It's hard work, and like you say, you didn't know what. You might get a dry run, you know, and not get anything that day.
And you always dug there. You never did go to Palmer or any of those places.
The what?
You never went to Palmer to dig tip or any place like that.
No. That was just in that area there. Well, they did have tiff mines in other areas too. Like old mines, they had a mill out there, you know, and they had machineries that they dug their own, and they used their own machinery, you know, a shovel or something like a backhoe or something like that. They strip mined. And they had their own trucks that haul it up to the mill and dump it and run it through the shakers and the washers and crushers.
Was that before World War II? Before the war?
No.
Was that a steam shovel or did that come later?
No, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Might have been. Yep. Yeah, it was before the war. Yeah.
But most of it was done by hand.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think that's about all I can tell you.